What's going on, everybody? It is now day 12 of working on my house every day until I finish all of my home renovations, and I'm going to be installing some cabinet hardware today. But first, I want to give a little update about yesterday's video. I finished the LED lighting under this bar area over here, and I have some bad news about the LEDs. Came down here today, and the LED strip that was up there is now down here because I used double-sided tape to try and stick that up there, and sadly it has failed, but that will be for another day. Today I'm going to get to work on installing the cabinet hardware for the drawers and doors. My wife picked out these pretty cool, pretty unique knobs or poles, whatever you want to call them, that I'm going to be drilling the holes for today. They're a little bit different because they have basically a stud built right into them. Usually you have a screw that goes into the pole, but this just has it and then comes with, some nuts and some washers. So they're a little bit unique in that sense, but really cool design. But I'm going to show you how I install that today, so let's get started. So before I get into drilling out all of the holes for the cabinet poles, I want to talk about this jig that I have here, which I understand a lot of people probably don't have this type of jig, but if you're going to be doing a whole kitchen or doing, drilling for cabinet hardware, throughout your life, it makes sense to get a jig like this because it just makes it so it's almost error proof. If you are to mess up a door or a drawer front, that is going to set you back a lot of time and usually a couple $100 to replace that door, even if you can replace it. So getting something like this is kind of, I would call top of the line. It's a couple $100 to get something like this, but they make other versions that are a little bit cheaper, more cost effective. So if you're just doing a small project, I definitely recommend getting some type of jig for it because it just makes it so you really can't make an error and all of them are going to be perfect. And once I get this set up, I can run through these in probably 10 minutes and drill out at least all of the doors. The drawers take a little bit more time, but they honestly pay for themselves. One mistake and it's basically paid for. So just wanted to kind of give an overview of this tool, and I'll link it down in the description below, this exact one. And then I'm also going to throw a cheaper version down there as well. So I just wanted to give a little overview of this tool, and now I'm going to show you how I use it. So when it comes to just like a single knob pull versus like a handle, I like to center it in basically the width of the rail and the width of the stile. So basically somewhere around here. So the first thing I'm going to do is just measure what the thickness of this stile is, and then find the middle of that. So this is about 2 7/8 to that edge, and then I'm just going to make sure this is about the same as well, and it is. So basically I'm going to divide 2 7/8 in half, and then I will measure down from the top and from this inner edge, and then that will give me my point, and then I can set that up on the jig and make it sure that that lands at that point for every single door. Alright, so I've got the jig set up here. I'm going to be using this hole here. So basically this shoulder will rest on the cabinet, and so will this one. And from this shoulder to the center of this hole is 1 7/16, and again from the center of this hole to this shoulder is also 1 7/16. And then I always like to just take a tape measure and check that. As you can see right there, that little notch is a center mark of that hole. And then from this shoulder as well, you can see center of that hole is 1 7/16. So I'm all set up and ready to go, and now I can drill out all of my door holes. And the other cool thing is it's actually ambidextrous. Once you set it up, it can go on both sides. It actually flips and maintains the same hole position. So once you have it set up like this, you can literally work all the way down without reconfiguring anything. Prefer to hold it with this hand. You just want to hold it against this top shoulder and this shoulder here in my palm, and I'm just applying downward pressure kind of across the cabinet just to make sure it doesn't move at all. And I just treat this kind of as like a pilot. I'm gonna just basically drill in maybe a 1/4 inch of the way, and then I'll just remove this and finish it off afterwards. So I'll just go down and basically mark where each hole is, and then I'll come back and actually do the drilling all the way through the cabinet after. So now I'm just gonna drill all the way through. Install this first one. Yeah, it looks better now that that's in. Yeah. Just gonna work down and do all of the right side doors so that I don't have to switch hands. And then I'll come back down that way, getting all of the left side doors. Now I can come back and then drill all the way through, and that's it. It's that fast. So when it comes to drilling the hole in the drawers, it's a little bit different because obviously the drawer is a lot longer, so I won't be able to reference the sides at all. They do make kits where you can get like an extension piece that will also reference all the way from the edge of the drawer, but I went with like the smallest kit, which doesn't have that. So what I'm interested in setting this to is just the height, getting that correct height so that it's right in the middle vertically. And then one thing that I'm going to have to do that's a little bit more manual is basically find the center point and make sure that I'm lining this up correctly, which I just do using a piece of painter's tape. So I just basically take the width, divide it by 2, do a little pencil on painter's tape with a pencil, and basically just line this up on that. Knowing that I already have my depth set perfectly, all I have to do is make sure that I'm getting it in the middle. So I'm gonna do that now, and then you just have to make sure that this is a 24-inch cabinet. The two middle ones are 27 and then a 24. So you just got to make sure that obviously you're getting the middle every time. So same process, basically just pull the drawer out, put this on here. Obviously I'm going to need to find the middle still and then drill all the way through. So I'm going to just go ahead and get my measurements, set this up correctly, and then you'll see kind of how this is just a little bit different, but still really easy. So this drawer is 6 inches tall, so I went ahead and set my stop to 3 inches. So from here to the middle of that hole is 3 inches, which will give me the height perfectly. And now put some painter's tape on here and find the center. And that's it. It's really easy to install cabinet hardware if you have the right tools. And I'm not trying to sell this to you. If you do purchase it from my link, I do get a royalty of sorts, but I'm not trying to sell you this thing. I'm just trying to show you how I do it and show you that with a jig, it's a lot harder to mess up. I've seen numerous people go into anyone's house that's done their own hardware. I guarantee you might find a hole that's in the wrong spot, and that can be very costly. So if you're going to do something like this, get yourself some sort of jig like this, and it makes it way easier than trying to measure out every single hole and drill it perfectly. So that's all I have for you today. I will see you tomorrow, where I need to now fix that LED that I put in yesterday. So I'll see you then.